What's up guys, Artem MMA Analysis here, going to be talking about Road to UFC Singapore, giving my predictions for Road to UFC, and I wouldn't really be too surprised if I was you guys if I made more and more videos on this because no one's talking about it, which is absolutely insane considering the fact that the fights are literally starting on Thursday. They're going to be on Thursday night for me at about 6:30 PM, so I will be doing a live stream, and I'm going to be recording it in 2 different days, so the first 2 episodes take place on Thursday and the last 2 episodes take place on the Friday. So I'm going to be uploading my videos in 2 separate videos. The first video is going to be episode 1 and 2 predictions. The second video is going to be episode 3 and 4 predictions. If you don't know what Road to UFC is, I will link an article that explains everything that I wrote by my for We Want Picks, and yeah, let's just get into it. By the way, there's no odds at the time of recording right now, so if I do pick all favourites, and I do apologise, but it's not me picking all favourites on purpose, you know what I mean? There's got no odds to go off of anyway. Alright, so let's get into the predictions for episode 1 on the first day of Road to UFC. If you guys don't know what Road to UFC is, once again, it's a tournament. This is the first round of the tournament, and the winner of each weight class's tournament gets themselves a UFC contract. So pretty cool. Kicking off the fight card, though, we do have Keisuke Sasso taking on Zai. And I think that both guys are really good. I think Keisuke Sasu's been in there with some really good competition. He beat Ryoji Kudo, who recently, in my opinion, barely edged out a decision over Brendan Loughlin, but he did lose that decision, but it was a close fight. And prior to that, though, he has been some somewhat decent levels of competition, you know what I mean? Zai, on the other hand, really impressive record. 18 wins to 3 losses, but most of the levels of competition that he's been fighting hasn't been as impressive as the levels of competition that Keisuke Sasu has been fighting, to be fair. He does have some good wins on the record though. He beat a 10-3 guy in 2020, but apart from that, man, most of these wins that he's getting are against lower levels of competition, and even then, whenever he kind of fights someone that is going to test him, like this guy that was 14-5, or this guy that obviously somehow managed to get a heel hook on him, Wiley, who's a really good prospect himself, also in the tournament, like every time you kind of fight someone that's going to test him, he doesn't really seem to win, or he doesn't really seem to do too well. I think Keisuke Sasu is going to test that, and I think that we're going to be picking Sasu to win, and there's going to be a really good winner on his record, man. Having a winner over a guy that is 18-3, it's going to be very impressive. I will be picking Keisuke Sasu to win this one here. Now, Bellator versus Wallon Key. Just letting you guys know, this fight isn't actually happening. Bellator is pulled out on super last minute, so Wallon Key is going to be fighting Tetsuya Seki, and Tetsuya Seki only accepted the fight like 3 days ago, you know what I mean? So, and he is a featherweight, he normally does fight at 145, so the weight cut won't be too bad. So he's going to be fighting at lightweight now. But now this makes it a lot more interesting in my opinion. I was going to be picking Bellator to win, but now that Bellator's not in there anymore, it's going to be Wallon Key. So we recently beat a couple of guys with not so special records, but he has been in there with Ryu and Ok, who's a really good prospect. You know what I mean? I think he's actually a former, if not current, champion of ONE FC. But on the other hand, same sort of thing with Tetsuya Seki. I guess you could argue he's probably been fighting a high level competition. He's on a 2-fight win streak. I really don't know who to pick in this one, man. 2 guys that I think if they win this round, I don't think they're going to win the next one. But the guy that's had a lot more time to prepare for this is Wallon Key. So maybe I'll side with him, but I'm just not too sure because this fight was only announced a couple of days ago. Bellator is out. He's not in the competition anymore. Now, Wiley, Tohiti, sorry if I said his name wrong there, versus Toshiomi Kazama. Toshiomi Kazama got knocked out 1 month ago, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this guy was announced to fight Road to UFC a long time ago. Maybe his team or his management thought that it would be a good idea to make his record look a little bit better because it was 9-1. Let's get him another win. Let's make him 10-1. And he got knocked out by a flying knee by a guy that was 2-2 only a month ago. So he's only really had 1 month to prepare for this fight after that KO loss, and that's just not going to be a good look in my opinion. I don't think that 1 month is long enough to recover from a flying knee, you know what I mean? But even then, he wasn't fighting a super high level competition. Wiley, though, he's one of my picks to win the whole thing. Yeah, he's been in there with some not so great guys, but Willie G. Burns, a former UFC fighter. Zai is also in the tournament, as I talked about before. And even then, like, he's beaten some good guys like 15-4, you know what I mean? But JCK, if you guys don't know what JCK is, it's a tournament, so it does make sense why he has been in there with some not super high level guys at the start of the tournament. But I'm going to be going with Matsushima, sorry if I said his name wrong again. But Kazama, man, he got knocked out a month ago. I can't trust that, man. I really can't. Now this is a tough one. Seunguk Choi versus Ramasapandi. At first I was all over Ramasapandi, but after watching his fights, he's not really as good as what I thought he was. Like, he doesn't really throw much output on the feet, really. And even then, his grappling is impressive. He does have a lot of submission wins on his record. Yes, he did beat David Leonardo, who was 3-0 by submission, and he beat Wadi Sawadi, who was 9-2 by submission, and Winardi, who was 4-1 by submission. But you know what? Like, he's gonna, in my opinion, if he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to be able to out-grapple Seunguk Choi, and I think he should be able to out-grapple Seunguk Choi, you know what I mean? But Ramasapandi hasn't fought. Sorry, I've got him confused with someone else. He's fought in 3 months, but Seunguk Choi hasn't fought for 2 years, you know what I mean? So, I'm not confident in Seunguk Choi. His loss as well was to Steve Ursig, who's actually going to be fighting on Dana White's Contender Series, and Steve Ursig got really good jiu-jitsu. He did manage to not get submitted in that fight, but it was about 4 years ago. I think I can trust Ramasapandi in this one just a little bit more. I think that he should probably win a decision in this one here. If I was to pick anything, I think Sapandi will probably get a decision win. And this one here, the fight ain't going the distance, guys. Minwoo Kim, like, this guy he's an interesting fighter. He's on a 5-fight first round KO streak. All of his KOs have taken place within like the first couple of minutes of the first round, but they haven't been against very high level competition at all. George Tokos, on the other hand, he's a super hyped up prospect, I guess you could say. He is actually quite hyped up, and I don't think that's me exaggerating anything there, but he hasn't impressed me personally too much, you know what I mean? Like, he lost to Kevin Fryer in his Bellator debut. I think it was, no, I think he won in Bellator before that, but he lost to Tai Guerrero, who's a middleweight, and then after that, he beat a couple of guys on the regional scene. Ty Flores recently is a pretty good win, to be fair, but I don't know. I feel like both guys have really bad striking defense. The more well-rounded fighter is definitely George Tokos. He's got really good grappling, or a lot better grappling than Minwoo Kim, in my opinion, but Minwoo Kim started his career 7-6. He's running an 8-fight win streak. He's definitely got the KO power to potentially cause the upset, but I think that George Tokos is going to be a slight favourite here, just because he's a bit more well-rounded, and I will be going with Tokos, but both guys do not have good striking defense. Do not be super surprised if Minwoo Kim does manage to get a KO, but I think that George Tokos should probably be going for a takedown. I think you're probably going to be looking for the sub, so I'm going to go George Tokos by submission in this one here to round out the first episode. Now, moving on to episode 2, this is where things get a little bit dicey, because there's actually a couple of cancelled fights on this card, starting with Minwoo Kim versus Longzhao. Longzhao pulled out, I think he got injured or something like that, which is a big shame, because I think that I was personally really excited to watch Longzhao fight, and they haven't found a replacement for him. Their first go-to was young Jin Hwang with an 8-5 record, but he does have a couple of really good wins. But unfortunately, to my knowledge, he's actually declined the fight. He doesn't want the fight. So at the moment, UFC's still actively looking for a replacement to fight Minwoo Kim in like 2 or 3 days' notice. So hopefully they find a replacement. To my knowledge, at the time of recording, they don't have a replacement for this fight. So at the moment, I think if they can't find an opponent for Minwoo Kim, he's probably just going to shoot straight into the semi-finals. I don't think that anything will happen to him. He'll just move on to the next round because his opponents just couldn't either take the fight or just wouldn't take the fight. So I think Minwoo Kim is probably going to move on. But just letting you guys know, this fight is actually cancelled. This fight isn't actually happening. So just making you guys aware. Now, a really good fight, man. Jin Hwang versus Kuyami Matsushima. I'm going to be going with Kuyami Matsushima. This guy has fought some really high-level competition on the regional scene, man. He lost to Gary Tanone, who I believe is a ONE FC title challenger. He beat Jin Hwang Kim, who's pretty good, from ONE. He lost to Martin Nguyen, who I believe is also very highly ranked in ONE. And he's beaten Won Il Kwon and Marat Gafarov. And I believe Marat Gafarov's the guy that lost Dana White's Contender Series by split decision just last year. So pretty good wins for Kuyami Matsushima, man. He's definitely fought some really good guys on the regional scene. Jin Hwang, on the other hand, a couple of good wins, I guess. He's beaten a guy that was 11-4, 6-3, drew with that guy, and then yeah, you know what? I just like Kuyami Matsushima's body of work a lot more. I like the level of competition that this guy has been fighting. I will be going with Matsushima to win this fight, man. Moving on, we've got Lan Key versus Wallon Del Rosario. I'm going with Lan Key. He doesn't have the prettiest record in the world. He doesn't have like some of the highest level competition in the world either. But he's a young guy. He's a young, hungry guy. You know, he was on Dana White's Contender Series. He lost this unanimous decision to Etre Verheyen, but he didn't look too bad in that fight. It really wasn't the most impressive showing, to be fair. But Before that, though, he has shown a pretty good, well-rounded sort of skill set. Wallon Del Rosario, on the other hand, hasn't fought for 2.5 years. He lost to a guy with a losing record 2.5 years ago. I just think that this should be a pretty good win for Lan Key. I do believe that Lan Key should be able to get the job done. And I think that, yeah, you know what? We'll probably just see a decision win for Lan Key. I'm not too sure about a prop on that one. Now, Wiley Muratbek, this is another fight that is not happening on this card. Actually, replacing Wiley Muratbek, because Wiley Muratbek unfortunately had some visa issues. He wasn't able to fight in Singapore. So now Pawan Mansinj is going to be fighting Jika Esperado Saragi, and there is an article about that on MMAindia.com. Pawan Mansinj gets a new opponent for Road to UFC. Will fight Jika Saragi of Indonesia, and that was announced May 28th. So Jika Esperado Sinj has had about 2-3 weeks notice or somewhat of that sort of nature to get this fight. I think he's going to win it, man. I will be picking Jika Esperado Saragi to win the fight. And I think that he should find some success against Pawan Mansinj. I mean, Pawan Mansinj lost to Jason Ramesh-Solomon, who's that guy that had that super viral video. He lost in like 20 seconds. Remember, he kind of walked out and was super confident. He put his hands on like the ring girls' stomachs, and then he walked in the cage, and he's like eyeing up his opponent like this, and then what actually ended up happening was his opponent knocked him out in like 20 seconds, and the video went viral. It was super funny. But I think he actually ended up beating Jason Ramesh. Yes, he did. He ended up beating Jason Ramesh Solomon after he lost. And yeah, he's had a couple of fights with this guy, Sandeep Kumar Dahia, who's 14-4, so good for him. But how much do you trust the Indian regional scene? I'll let you guys know that, but I'm going to be picking Jika Esperado Saragi to win this one here. Now, Sean Etre versus Takiro Ishida. I think I see a few people picking Takiro Ishida. I don't. Okay, when I was first looking at the Tapology votes, it seemed like they were more so skewed in the side of Takiro Ishida. But I can't trust Takiro Ishida. Like, the guy is younger than me. He made his pro debut when he was 16 years old. And since then, he hasn't really been fighting super high-level competition. All of his wins are by submission, so he does have a good ground game. And he does kind of remind me of that guy that the UFC just signed very recently. A Japanese guy. Oh, I've forgotten. He just won his debut. I completely forgot his name. But Takiro Ishida is also a very small guy as well. Like, his last weigh-in was at 109 pounds. Because I think 108 pounds is the division over in Asia. So he's a small guy. He's gonna be smaller than Sean Etre, who's been fighting at 125 pounds. So yeah, I really do think that Sean Etre should probably get the win here. He hasn't fought for a while. Like, he's been pretty inactive, but he's had a lot of cancelled fights. He's got a pretty good win over Chris Weiss, who's pretty good on the Australian regional scene. So is Sam Hibbard, but yeah, I think I can trust Sean Etre to win this one. I think that he probably will end up winning the contract as well after that fight there. So give me Sean Etre to win that one.